And you get a feeling that I'm feeling. Won't you come closer to me, baby? Hey. Now you already got me right where you want me, baby. I just want you, man. How does it feel? How does it feel? Did I wanna know how it feels? How does it feel? How does it feel? Yeah, wanna stop. Silly little game you and me play, and I'm feeling right on. Feel the same way, baby. Let me know. I love to make you well. In between your thighs, I love when it comes to you. I get so excited when I'm around you, baby. Oh, baby. How does it feel? Feel, yeah. How does it feel? Yeah. So did it ever cross your mind? How does it feel? Wow, baby. Oh, how does it feel? Yeah. How does it feel? Tell me how it feels, yeah. How does it?
Alrighty, guys, I'm going to stop the video here because, I mean, that was 3.5 minutes and that was only one half. I mean, that's a lot of highlights. That's a lot of time. I know you guys have valuable time, so I don't want to go past that, but wow, that's 4 minutes and 34 seconds total of Josh Allen highlights from week 9. You guys can go check that out on your own personal time if you want to finish the video. But ladies and gentlemen, it's Monday Night Commish. It is week 9. It's the 9th installment, and I am happy to be here. We have a good show in store for you tonight. A lot of good storylines around the league right now. A lot of good storylines going on. Let's just jump into it. And one thing to note, stick around to the end today because the reason the show was late, I created a very intense PowerPoint that is going to go over my 3 least favorite owners in the league. It's my 3 least favorite owners as human beings. Okay, so stick around and you'll get to see my 3 least favorite owners. So stay tuned for that. I like to see Mr. Beast in the channel with some Bills love over there. You gotta love the Bills. Okay, let's get into the news, guys. So I mean, first and foremost, we got the Bread taking on the Ultimate Team. This was the matchup of the week. I mean, everybody already knew this was going to be the highest over/under, the biggest point scoring matchup of the season, most likely, based on the fact that Johnny's always strong and my team was coming back to full strength. And I hope you guys took my advice. And bet the Rye Bread Pick'em, which I know I personally bet, because guess what? It cashed out, and it would have even cashed out if it was Rye Bread minus 30, because I put a nice fat whooping on Johnny this week. 208, not the highest score of the season for any team, but a pretty nice score. I mean, respect to Johnny, he still put up 176. That's solid. But overall, I mean, my team just went off. We've got Christian McCaffrey, of course, coming back, and Josh Allen leading the way. Everybody else did their job. I mean, I had a couple duds here and there, but I mean, when my team's at full strength, good things tend to happen there. So I'm very happy to see that. Johnny's going to be just fine if he's I mean, doesn't have lots to worry about. He does have a tough schedule. If you look at Johnny's schedule going forward, he has a tough schedule, but there's no where Johnny shouldn't be worried at all about losing this game, scoring 176. He's going to be fine for the playoffs. We will go. What did Kevin say in the chat? Looks like Johnny might need another trade. We'll see. He might be working one out right now. I know you might be trying to trade Adam Thielen, Kevin, so we'll have to stay tuned on that. We got the Green Machine and Kevin here, and a real beatdown for the Green Machine's favor, Alex's favor. I mean, he had some issues this week. I think Justin Jackson actually started the game, but went out with a knee injury early in the first quarter. But overall, I mean, Alex is putting up good points at the wide receiver position, and that's what's going to kind of carry him on to a lot of these victories. Kevin, overall, I mean, when you're starting Jake Luton, who even gave him actually decent production, surprisingly, you're probably not going to be out for your best day. Des Bryant, that's a bit of a stinker right there. Who did even play? Let me see what this says. So reverting back to the practice squad. So there you go. But a great player to have on your squad if you're trying to tank. Des Bryant is definitely that. But not a lot of action there. I mean, we know what's going on here. Kevin's no interest in losing. No interest in winning, I should say. And then Alex, of course, has the incentive to win. So nobody in the league should be surprised there. I do have inside information that the under was bet pretty heavily in this game in terms of Chris's bets. Over-under was 265, and the under definitely hit on this one by about 35 points, it looks like. So the house is going to lose a little bit of money. If CB is watching, please maybe drop some comments on what happened with the house this weekend, because I know there were bets on the under in this game. Let's go ahead and move on to the DCs and Mike Vick, which was one of the games that one of the consequential matchups based on tonight's Monday Night Football game. And it looks like the DCs did not fare well at all in that one. Down by 11 points currently. They would need 2 Jets defensive touchdowns to really get there. Interception touchdowns, it looks like. And tell me the chances of that. It's probably approaching 0, I would say. Cam Newton, nothing crazy it looks like in terms of the stats, but enough to obviously get the job done. Harris, a little bit. So good win for Austin here. I mean, his team is obviously starts at the top with Kyler Murray, who's the number one player in fantasy right now. So when you're going up against that guy, it's just going to put your team at a deficit. Even with Scott, I mean, look at his quarterbacks. They scored really, really well. 50 points combined. Dalvin cut 40 points, but he still can't pick it up. It's going to be a very disappointing loss for Scott. I mean, he really could have used this win. It's just not going to happen when you have these super low totals. I mean, Lockett didn't come in this week. Jordan Reed, David Johnson, James Conner. He just got screwed over by some of these guys. They did absolutely nothing, even though he had awesome performances. So we'll probably go and talk about the Scott Alex bet a little bit later, but you know that Scott's not happy with this performance right here. And who knows, the DCs, I mean, one more loss and they're in real trouble for the playoffs, not even mentioning the bet. So big trouble for the DCs. I think he's got Brendan next week. We'll look at that later, though. Going to the Yunts and Chris beat Cream over here. Chris having a big night at the flex 2 position. Who'd he start over there? Jacoby Myers. Look at that. This guy's starting to turn it on for Chris right now. I think he's actually been producing. So, yeah, Jacoby Myers putting up 23 points, just extending the lead. I think this might be Chris's highest scoring total of the season, which is a good time to start having those types of games when we're going down this stretch looking for playoff spots. So, shout out to Chris getting the job done. Nothing really to say here on Kevin's side. Stafford did end up playing, did get cleared to play from the COVID test and everything by the time the game started, but just not getting the production. You can see here in the position players, whereas Chris is getting insane stuff from, Travis Kelce, and Roethlisberger had a nice day, even though it was a bad first half. Came in sort of, I think, 20 points probably in the second half. So Chris gets the job done. Big win for him. He's going to go to 6-3. Really put him in a good position for the playoffs. He's going to be 2 games up on Scott. Will Scott be able to clear that gap? We'll have to see. But we're going to stay on this week's matchups for now. We'll go to that later. The Heroes Dynasty deserves get absolutely whooped by Mr. Beast over here. 151.98 to 69-16. Gotta love that final score. That is embarrassing, though. Let's see what happened. So Tom Brady, obviously, disappointing night for Brady. Brendan at the wide receiver position. Not a lot going on. Flex was tough for Brendan too. So that's where the 69 is definitely coming from there. Highest score in total point score for Brendan was McKinnon at 15.8 on Thursday night. Basically what we expect. Even with bad performances at the running back spot, he was able to get pretty sweet production out of wide receiver. You know, the big guys, Adams and Brown. Decent production at flex, good production at quarterback, and that is more than enough to beat the Heroes when they decide not to show up. But I don't think Brendan's going to be necessarily upset that he lost this game. Mr. Boydak's going to solidify himself into the number 2 position in the league, and he has a big matchup next week that we will look at. But this is the matchup I think everyone in the league is watching right now as this game is in the 4th quarter. We have the Koalas up by 2.3 points on the Mun Dynasty, and the Mun Dynasty looks like they're in the red zone right now with Rex Burkhead, who's already put up 15.5 points. Additionally, he has Mims at 10.2. So what do we got here? We have how many minutes left? We have 20 minutes total between these guys to score 2.3 points. That's one 13-yard catch to tie for Shinwoo. One 13-yard catch from either guy. 2 receptions basically will do the trick, or 23 rushing yards will do it. But basically, I think if Shinwoo just gets 1 reception out of these guys, out of either one of these guys, he should be able to get it done. But wow, what a loss for Paul in this one for the Koalas. I mean, you just can't have this period. I know he had tough bye weeks with Cup Wentz. I think he had Sanders, and even Ridley was injured, but you just can't afford to lose this matchup. Because it's going to put him in. We're going to have a big tie, I think, at 6-3 this week between 4 teams when it's all said and done. But this is a tough one to lose when you're a good team like the Koalas, and you want to get to the bye weeks in the playoffs. I mean, he wants to be a bye week team. That's kind of the goal for a lot of us right now. But this is not how you get it done. You got to put up more than 108 to finish off the Mun Dynasty. Even though they are 0-8, we have seen the Mun Dynasty score well above 130s, 140, 150 throughout the season. I mean, they're not as bad. It's not as bad as it seems. I mean, it's pretty bad. Let's not even go there. It's pretty bad, but yeah, the Koalas got to get that done. We'll come back to this one later on and see if they get it. I'm gonna check the comments real quick to see if we have anything from the top. So yeah, we saw that score, Brendan. That was just absolutely beautiful. Kevin, Des Bryant didn't fare well for me. I don't know what you were expecting out of Des Bryant after that viewer's layout. Alex, this is a big comment right here. Still offering a $90 buyout for Scotty. So to analyze this bet real quick, we'll go to the league homepage right now. So here we go. We got Alex. He's going to be 6-3. Scott's going to be 4-6. Alex at 1183. Scott at 1218. That's 35 points to Scott's favor, which I think will disappear after this week. Scott will have about an 18-point advantage on Alex in points for, but Alex will be up 2 games in the standings with 10, 11, 12, 4 games left in the season, including a matchup against each other. So Scott's going to have to win that matchup, obviously, against Alex, and then make up 1 more game to get to the tie. So Scott's basically got to win out. So Alex given the $90 buyout. Basically, he's saying he's going to win this bet 90% of the time when offering a total like that, and I think that number's probably correct. Scott, I mean, maybe he can see what happens after this week. He needs Alex to take a loss, but I think Alex's schedule is pretty easy going forward. Let's see here. Let's go to Alex's schedule. So Alex is going to have Yunt, Chris, Austin, You know what? I think I think Scott might just have to hope. Obviously, Scott's going to say, "I'm going to go ahead and win Week 11." That's obviously first and foremost. But on top of that, I think it is possible Alex loses one of these games. He's not going to lose next week, but between week 12 and 13. So maybe Scott. If I'm Scott, I'm probably not going to accept the $90 buyout. I'm probably just going to see how the season goes. I think Scott has too much pride to do that. I would be the same exact way. I'd have. There's no chance I would pay Alex out the $90. A little disrespectful, but I actually respect Alex for offering that. But I think Scott plays this out. They both get the win next week. Scott's going to go for that win. If Scott does get the win, I mean, we got some serious drama there, folks, because I think Scott's actually going to finish up pretty easy in his schedule as well. Okay, more comments. David Johnson got a concussion. Okay, so yeah, that definitely sucks for Scott. And he wasn't able to play Crowder because he thought he was probably going to be injured for the game. I know the guy who got Cooks and managed to lose twice with him. Damn. So I'm not watching the game, so I don't know exactly what's going on. Has anything changed there? Still, okay, so we're down to a 2. So it looks like Rex Burkhead probably rushed for 2 yards. You guys probably can't see that on the screen. There it is. That 106.52 to 108.62 to 108.62 to 106.52. That's very hard to say for some reason. Still needs 21 yards or 2 receptions and a yard. What's crazy is Shinwu probably doesn't want to win, so both teams are going to hate this outcome. Yeah, it's an absolute disaster. It's an absolute disaster. And it's a real, I mean, I think, didn't Mr. Horner say something like it was his most embarrassing loss of his career? No, that was Mr. Boydock, never mind. Well, Mr. Boydock had the most embarrassing loss of his career earlier this season. I think Mr. Hornung is going to have the most embarrassing loss of his career this week. If it happens, we'll have to see. We'll have to see if it happens. Okay, let's go. I'm just going to check back into that real quick. Okay. Same old. Who has the ball? So they're still in the red zone. I think that was the same. We were at the same place earlier on there. Let's go. I want to talk about the bye week teams for the playoffs and kind of break that down a little bit. But let's go ahead and just jump into the week 10 matchups, and that'll kind of feed into each other as we go. So Koalas and Belichick's. I mean, if Paul loses this game, he's got to hopefully get the rebound here against not really too much of an easier team to go up against in week 10. But I mean, shouldn't be much of an issue. Let's look at the bye weeks. Paul's going to get all his guys back. Won't have Ridley. That one will still kind of hurt him, but overall, going against Luton, I think Green Bay's got a decent pass defense. This one just shouldn't be an issue. It shouldn't be an issue to go ahead and get the win. Not even to spend any time here. But Paul at potentially 6-3, we'll look at moving up to 7-3. Mun Dynasty, Mike Vick in a box. Not too consequential. Really only consequential in terms of the draft order next year, because if Shinwu wins this week, well, Austin is winning this week too, so Austin would actually have 3 wins. I was saying they might be able to have a last place tie situation going on, but both of them obviously have no interest in winning this game. We'll have to see what their starting lineups end up looking like. Shinwu with a couple of buys, Austin looking relatively healthy among his starters in terms of his starters playing and not being on buys. We'll have to stay tuned. I think Austin's got a nice starting lineup. If he plays all the right guys, he should beat Shinwu here without too much difficulty, but that's easier said than done. Madden's Ultimate Team against the Creamers right here. We got a projection of 130 to 82, but that's also with Chris having a pretty gross bye week here with Gurley. Gallup's actually not a big deal, and then Kelsey. Chris is going to be hurting. He gets a lot of points out of Kelsey. Kelsey's had a pretty monster season. I don't know if you guys can see the totals here. There they are. I mean, basically scoring 20 to 25 points in half the games this season, 5 out of 9 games. So that's pretty sick production that Chris is going to lose. Gurley, I think, has had a decent season as well. So Chris is going to lose that production. Man, it's going to be a tough one for the Creamers to win. So good job on them to get the win last week, getting up to 6-3. But I would be shocked if they made it to 7-3. I think Johnny probably bounces back here, seeing that he also is relatively healthy. I think he's going to not have Elliott or Jones or Mahomes. Okay, so that's actually interesting. So Johnny actually has some pretty rough bye weeks there. So he's got Amendola and Hopkins, Metcalf, Schuster, Claypool. I mean, there's some potential here. I mean, if Chris can muster out some good performances from some of these guys, he has a chance. But I still think Johnny's got a substantially stronger team in this matchup. I like Johnny here. We'll have to see, but both teams have some pretty bad bye weeks, so we can see some back and forth in this matchup. Heroes Dynasty deserves against the Dynasty champions. So, wow, that's a low projection, and he's doing the Alex Boydock, doesn't have any guys in. Yeah, tough to get a good read on this one just looking at this. But Matt Ryan, Jamison Crowder, Amari Cooper, a lot of injuries. Scott's going to have a tough time putting together his flex spots, is my guess for this week. Not a lot of depth with all those bye weeks. Brendan is just playing some deception because he overall is about as healthy as his team is going to get. Taking Brady out of the starting lineup. We'll see if that remains. I think Brady's going to find his way back. But Brendan's going to put up a decent lineup, I think. Scott should probably be favored. I'll be interested to see what Chris does at this matchup. But the bottom line is, I mean, Scott absolutely has to win this week. He has to win. If he loses this week, I mean, you can pretty much just say goodbye to the playoffs. At 8 losses, I mean, no, not 8 losses, 6 losses. Sorry, you're not gonna make the playoffs at 7-6. I know I said earlier in the show history back on episode 1 that 7-6 would probably make it, but with how we have so many high scoring teams in terms of wins and so many low scoring teams, it just doesn't look like 7-6 is going to do it. It looks like it's going to be 8-5 is going to be the cutoff for the playoff spot. So Scott needs to win at all costs. Don't be surprised if you see a trade. Maybe Scott make a move for a wide receiver. I know he doesn't have assets, but there might be a way he can throw something together to maybe get a piece of the puzzle. We'll probably learn a lot of Scott and what he thinks of the season going forward based on his strategy for this game. Does he just play it out? Does he go and pick someone up? Does he make a trade? Does he trade an asset? Does he trade another future pick? We'll have to see. But I don't think Brendan has incentive to win, which plays into Scott's favor. But still, man, I mean, with Scott's bye weeks, I would not want to be in his position right now. It's going to be a dramatic week. We'll say that. Another matchup. The Yunts and the Green Machine over here. Alex is, of course, playing the deception. Patrick over here isn't looking too bad on bye weeks. Almost no bye weeks on Patrick's side. Over here on Alex's side, not going to have Tyreek Hill. Looking pretty good besides that. I'm going to assume Minshew's still out. Yeah, Minshew will still be out more than likely. Yeah, Alex should be able to put together the type of lineup that will be able to beat the Yunts based off how low they've been scoring. But I wouldn't go too far and say it's going to be a guaranteed win here. I mean, I'll put Alex at a moderate favorite here probably. We're going to be looking at Alex minus 20 in that range. That's not a guaranteed win, but he can really – obviously he picks up this one. He puts Scott in a tough place for the bet. If Alex loses this week, Scott wins this week, I mean, it's game on for the bet because they play each other next week. So we'll have to see what happens there. I don't think that just looking at Patrick's team, I don't think it's as bad as I thought it was going to be for this week. He's very healthy overall in terms of his starting lineup. Whereas Alex is obviously still dealing with some of those injuries that happened a couple of weeks ago. The last matchup, and this one definitely has major implications, I believe, for the bye week. I think if I win this matchup, I can probably pretty comfortably say that I'll be a bye week team at 8-1, with matchups looking pretty good after this week for me. Leo picks up this win. I know he has actually a tough end to his schedule. I think he has to play. Obviously, me this week. I think he still has a matchup with Johnny, and he might even have another matchup with Paul. So Leo's obviously gonna have to do some more work to get the bye week, but I think the bye week is within my grasp if I get this win. Looking at the matchup, Chiefs on bye, so that there goes Clyde Edwards for me. Not too bad. I can't complain at this. He's in a couple backup quarterbacks. Yeah, so we're both going to be healthy. I hope McCaffrey plays. That'll be a big one for me. Didn't know A.J. Brown was injured. But, we're both going to be relatively healthy going in. No complaints. As for the Creamers, when they're making this line, I don't know what they're going to do. I don't think my team is as strong as they're not going to perform as strongly as they did last week. And I also think Mr. Boydock is going to get some positive regression out of these running backs. Totals back up with a lot of Thursday night gameplay going on his side. So that'll be good for me to see how much production he gets out of probably two of his more dangerous guys in Henry and A.J. Brown. But this is a good matchup. I'm looking forward to it. So when we look at the league standings, all right, I'm going to look at some of the chat real quick. We got a lot from Brendan. Austin can still technically make the playoffs. Let's look into this. So I'm just going to make this longer. Okay, so Austin at 2-6. So 2-6, 13-game season. 7-6. Okay, so 7-6. If 7-6 makes the playoffs, that means that either Chris or Alex, who are both going to win this week and be 6-3, one of them would have to finish the season 1-2. No, 1-3. So you really need bad seasons, bad finishers for Chris and Alex. And I don't know who they're facing. Well, I think we saw Alex earlier. But Chris. So you need Chris or Alex, one of those two, to go 1-3. You'd also need Scott to have a bad ending record. And maybe if Austin went undefeated, besides that, he could squeak into the playoffs. But there's going to be a little bit of an issue here in that Chris is playing Alex and Scott. So obviously someone is going to win those games. So that might actually knock Austin out. I don't know how to do the math, though, if I'm being honest. But I don't. He might not be mathematically eliminated, but it's going to be very, very, very extremely difficult. Kevin likes the Creamers next week. Creamer Magic next week. Yeah, we'll have to see. Mr. H is not happy in the chat. Really rooting for the Jets hard tonight. My survivor pool will be down to the final 15 for $1,000. So Brendan looking at potentially winning $1,000. Brendan already told me personally he's gonna buy all the league merch with the $1,000. So everybody thank Brendan. He already said he's spending all of it on league merch and putting it towards the Vegas trip for the league. So good job to Brendan. Cool. Mr. B in the chat, I need Rye Bread to fall back to 140. Yeah, I mean, we'll see. I think my team's pretty hot. I'm looking at probably 160-ish is my goal for this one. It's about 15 entry. Let's actually look back at that matchup real quick just so we can see something. So nothing being scored on the Mun Dynasty side. 5 minutes to go. 2027. England's got the ball. Man, he has got to be sweating this one pretty freaking hard. Yeah. Yes, keep me updated on what's happening in this game in the chat. Mr. Boydock says, good job, by the way, that our top two teams were top scorers this week. Legit battle. Better than last time. Yeah, last time that was major disappointment alert. We both just kind of... It was embarrassing on both of our sides. We shouldn't have had that, but this week, it's everything we could have expected. Hopefully, this will just be a preview of the playoffs in terms of the production and some of the drama that we get. So Paul with the Vegas trip. Yeah, I still got Mike Davis. Lucky for me. So Harris just got hurt, and Burke is headed in. Okay, this is going to be interesting. I'll probably look back on this. Okay, that's all I got to say. Let me actually just look at the playoff teams. I'm going to just make a little prediction here. I think right now I'm mathematically in the playoffs. Johnny's going to make the playoffs. Mr. Boydock's going to make the playoffs. The Koalas, let's look at that schedule. So those are 3 playoff teams. The Bread, Madden's Ultimate Team, and Mr. Beast. Let's look at the Koalas real quick. The Vegas Koalas Let's assume they lose this week. Let's assume that the Vegas Koalas lose. Who do they finish up with their schedule? They have the Belichicks. That should be a win. Get them to 7 wins. The Beasts, Rybread, and Mr. Hunt. Now, I'm not trying to toot my own horn, but he could be looking at two L's right here. So 7 wins after Belichick's. Loss. Trying to pick up the 8th win in his last game of the season. It's very possible, assuming he loses this week to Shinwoo, that the Vegas Koalas finish the season with 8 wins. Now, I think 8 wins will make the playoffs, especially with the points total here in the points for category. 8 and 6 should make it. I wouldn't be surprised if we have an 8 and 6 tiebreak that will knock somebody out. But 12:48, and then a team like Chris at 10:68. Chris, it's just too much of a gap to make up in 4 games. So I think the Koalas do make the playoffs. I think they make the playoffs. I'm willing to say this. Green Machine, I think Alex looks good. I mean, we 6 wins, and we saw that schedule. I put Alex in the playoffs. The real question is going to be kind of, well, then again, I mean, we'll have to see. Christian Scott, I think we just got to go with Chris right now. It's just too unlikely. 4 and 5 is going to be tough to come back from for Scott in not having a guarantee there. He's even going to win next week against Brendan. So, and then the tough matchup against Alex. So I'll say that. I mean, this is kind of a dumb prediction, obviously, because it's obvious, but the 6 teams here are probably going to be the top 6 teams, or the 6 teams in the playoffs. And as for bye weeks, I think I'm going to be able to pick one up. I mean, I do. That win would be nice against Mr. Boydock. And assuming I do win, I think Johnny will find a way to be the second bye. So I'll go with me and Johnny as the bye weeks there. I would love to get a live call in for Paul. So Mr. H, if you do want to call in, feel free. I'll just put my phone up to the mic and put it on speakerphone. This would be some good drama right now. Still looking the same though. 106, 82, 106, 52. So good stuff there. Okay. So we'll see if we get the call or not. I'll go either way. But I do have to give my presentation of my 3 least favorite owners in the league as human beings. So I hope this works. I have to get off my streaming platforms. I think the presentation is going to take the full screen. So if this is if you guys are not seeing anything, you have to text it in the chat. So I'm going to put it up in about 10 seconds. If you see nothing, tell me in the chat, because I'm not going to, my full screen is going to be this presentation. So let's go to this. Okay. All right, you guys seeing this? My top 3 least favorite owners in the league. You guys see the green screen? Maybe I'm foreshadowing that the green machine is going to be on the list. Okay, they're seeing the screen. So here we go. My top 3 least favorite owners in the league. Because I know we like the drama. I know based off the questions that we get on the Heroes Hot Seat, this is the kind of drama that the fans are looking for. I mean, I got 7 people in the live chat right now, so I know this is good content. Let's get into it. So at number 3, we have the fake championship winners. So these are any championship winners that won only one championship, which in my opinion make them fake championship winners. So that's Mike Vick in a box and Madden's Ultimate Team, each only with 1 chip. I think it's a little suspicious. Guys. I mean, 3-year plan. He said it in the first season, and it ended up coming true. That's massive conspiracy right there, I think. Massive conspiracy for Austin. Plus, I mean, his team was only good for 1 season. It was obviously something was going down there. And then Johnny, there's something going on with these trades. People, they go into a different mental state when they make trades with Johnny. I don't know if they're just intimidated by him or if maybe he drugs them before trading with them. So I see you in the chat, Austin, but it's true. It might be. I might have to launch investigation. And so, investigation task force lately has been the team of Alex, Scott, and Shinwoo. But we might have to launch the task force into specifically Austin, and then I'll keep my eyes on Johnny. So number 2, you guys ready for number 2? The Boydock family, aka the Boydock crime family. So as you guys know, this was mentioned on the Wednesday night show with Scott. Boydock collusion. So here's what you guys have to know about Boydock collusion, because my phone is getting blown up to investigate Boydock collusion. I don't know. We'll have to see. But basically, what happened was, and I might be saying teams wrong, but you'll get the general idea. Chase Daniel was picked up by Alex earlier in this week, and Chase Daniel was going to sub in for Matt Stafford. Alex had no use for Chase Daniel. He wasn't going to start him. What they say is that Alex picked him up just to block Patrick from picking him up, because Patrick was playing Chris. And obviously, Alex was looking out for his younger brother. Doesn't want Scott to, obviously get there. I think I'm actually saying something completely wrong. But in the end, we have Alex making a potential move. It just doesn't add up. There's some discrepancy. I know Mr. H is in the chat. Maybe he can put his mind to work here on what's going on. But Boydock collusion, it's entirely possible. I mean, I'm hearing that Mrs. Boydock is actually pulling the strings here. But when you have three family members, people that share blood in a league of 12 people, yes, that's 25% of the league is Boydock, is the Boydock Polish blood. So anything can happen. They're obviously teaming up. That's why they're on number 2 on my list. Brendan, so if I'm not number 1 on the list, I'm gonna be livid. Well, you're half right. Because number 1 is the other 2 podcast bozos. So let's look at this. So Heroes Hot Seat. Hot Seat, can we really be saying hot? Because last time I checked the ratings, they are ice cold ratings. It's the least popular show from what I hear. Well, first of all, everybody says my show is the best show. It just gets the most viewers, best ratings, which I agree with, and the stats actually back that up. But Heroes Hot Seat, the name is a lie. It should be the Ice Throne or something like that. Just based off, how no one's watching or anything like that. And then I didn't know this. We had a third show actually. There was a third show. I thought it was just me and Brendan. And I mean, I have to respect Brendan. It's not the worst show. It's a good show. But he does, he comes every week. I didn't know we had the dynasty football show. So that obviously no one's watching that. I don't even know what that is. But yeah, that's my presentation. That's my least 3 favorite, from a personal level, my 3 least favorite owners as human beings in the league. So there it is, guys. I had to do it. I knew that'd be good content. Austin in the chat. That's very true. I don't know how to fix that, Austin. I'm at major technical difficulties. We're gonna have to maybe have someone figure this out. That could be potential Brendan conspiracy gate, that he is naming all my shows after his own show. Okay, so I'm just gonna check on that score one more time. Nothing has changed. I am absolutely hyped. I hear on the Wednesday night show that someone just texted me. I still don't know what the show is, but apparently there's going to be a guest, and it's going to be potentially someone that doesn't have a win yet. And apparently they have something to say about me. They have text messages. They're going to incriminate me. I just want you guys to know that everything they say is lies. None of it's true. They made it up. They're fake text messages. It's all fake. So that's all you have to know before you watch Wednesday night show. But stay tuned in to everything with the league. It's a good week. We have a good end to the season coming up. I'll see you guys next time, and I'll close it out with some audio here. Give me 1 second. And we can just kind of stay on this.
Girl, it's only you. Have it your way. And if you want, you can decide that if you have me, I can provide everything that you desire. And you get a feeling that I'm feeling. Won't you come closer to me, baby? Hey. Now you already got me right where you want me, baby. I just want you, man. How does it feel? How does it feel? Did I wanna know how it feels? How does it feel? How does it feel? Yeah, won't stop. Sing along. Silly little game you and me play, and I'm feeling right on. Feel the same way, baby. Let me know. I love to make you well. In between your thighs, I love when it comes. Son of you, I get so excited when I'm around you, baby. Oh, baby. How does it feel? Real shit. How does it feel? Yeah. So did it ever cross your mind? How does it feel? Wow, baby. Oh, how does it feel? Yeah. How does it feel? Yeah, man, I'm real shit. Feel, yeah. It's been on my mind. How does it feel? Oh, how does it feel? All time. Said it's been on my mind, yeah. Baby, close the door. Listen, girl, I got a thing I want to show you all. I wish you could be down. Go down. Wanna take the walls down. You. Oh, yeah. If you want me to, baby.
One last thing, I forgot to mention this. If anyone is still watching this, one last thing, I needed to mention this before I go off. If this goes out to Brendan and Patrick, if you guys want to squash the beef, if you and Patrick, Brendan and Patrick, if you guys want to squash the beef, come on my show. next Monday night, November 16th, Monday night. Let's do it. Let's squash the beef. Open invitation if you're even still listening at this point. But yeah, I'm going to put that out there. So I'll make it known either way if you see it now, or I'll tell you guys later. Squash the beef Monday night. Let's do it. All right. Peace out, guys.